From Draymond Green's dirty groin attack in NBA Finals to the insane clash between DeMarcus Cousins and Sean Elliott, these are the times when NBA players broke the rules. And I'd suggest buckling up because it's going to get very controversial. Now, if you've been following the sport for a while, you already know NBA games can get very messy. Besides, players often get carried away in the heat of the moment. But nothing can justify Draymond Green's dirty groin attack in NBA Finals. This moment changed the course of the finals in 2016 and fueled a historic comeback. But first, let's rewind the clock. It's 2016, and Draymond's Golden State Warriors are facing off against LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers in the finals. Tensions are running high as the Warriors hold a 3-1 series lead and are on the brink of championship glory. But then, everything takes a dramatic turn in Game 4. During a heated on-court argument, Green took a not-so-sly swipe at James's groin, leaving fans angry. Dre Magic is known for his aggressive playing style, but even this was a low blow for him, both literally and figuratively. And unlike most of his other dirty tactics, this one didn't go unnoticed. The referees slapped him with a flagrant foul, and since Green already had 4 flagrant foul points during the playoffs, he triggered an automatic suspension for the next game. Talk about being messy. I mean, hitting an opponent in the groin is a serious offense in the NBA, so it only makes sense why the refs were so quick to jump in. But that didn't mean their decision wasn't a big deal. Draymond was the team's star player, so you can see why everyone was angry with him. While his longtime fans tried to defend him, he did make a mistake at the end of the day. On-court fights are a big no-no, but clearly, Joel Embiid and Karl Anthony Towns didn't get that memo, since they decided to have a UFC heavyweight level clash right in front of the audience. And can I just say, they definitely got their money's worth that night. It was October 30th, 2019, and the Philadelphia 76ers were set to square off against the Timberwolves. What should have been a routine regular season game, though, turned into the exact opposite. Joel Embiid is known for his larger-than-life personality and dominant presence on the court, but he found himself engaged in an intense battle with Karl Anthony Towns, a formidable force in his own right. As the game progressed, tensions between the two players began to simmer before quickly reaching a boiling point. Because with about 6 minutes left in the third quarter, these two locked horns big time. This brawl had it all, as Embiid wrapped his arm around Towns' neck, applying a chokehold that would make any wrestling fan proud. And in retaliation, Towns landed a mean eye gouge. At one point, even the refs were confused about what to do in this situation. I mean, no level of training can prepare you for a full-blown catfight. But they still pulled through with a 2-game suspension for both players. The league takes a strong stance against any form of physical fight, and this incident was no exception, even if it caused a storm on social media as fans took sides. While both players were forced to apologize for their actions, at least they were fighting against fellow players. Because in Rajon Rondo's case, he took the fight to an actual referee. This incident took place in 2012 during a game between the Boston Celtics and the Atlanta Hawks. The stage was set, and fans were ready for an exciting showdown. Little did they know, Rajon Rondo was also ready to throw the mother of all tantrums that day. Because as the game picked up pace, so did the frustrations on the court, and Rajon, true to his reputation for being a diva, found himself at odds with referee Mark Davis. Their clash reached a peak because with just 41 seconds left in the game and the Celtics trailing by 4 points, Rondo was called for a loose ball foul on Josh Smith. And he responded by unleashing a barrage of swear words at Davis, leading to a heated, face-to-face confrontation that was more intense than a volcanic eruption. Obviously, he crossed a major line that day. Plus, if the NBA is strict on players fighting each other, you can imagine what the reaction was when it's a ref getting attacked. The league takes a strong stance on player-referee interactions, and his actions were a slap in the face for those principles. So the 2-game suspension only seemed fair. When the player was asked about what happened during the game, he called out the NBA for being biased against him. But let's be honest, Rondo thought he could get away with his dirty tactics, and NBA refs are all too familiar with sneaky players. I mean, just look at Ja Morant's case. The player is the perfect example of not knowing when to stop. Hold on tight, folks, because we're diving into the controversy surrounding Morant's suspensions. In March 2023, he found himself in hot water when he received an 8-game suspension without pay. So what led to this harsh punishment, you ask? Well, it involves an Instagram live video and a strip club. Yep, you heard that right. In the video, Morant was caught on camera, holding a gun at a strip club, and the NBA wasted no time in condemning his actions, slapping him with labels like irresponsible and reckless. They made it crystal clear that his behavior was not only harmful to himself, but to the league as a whole. Talk about a serious misstep. But to his credit, he didn't brush off the consequences. Ja came out with an apology, acknowledging the severity of the situation, even going as far as saying he'll take this time to work on personal growth and accountability. That sounds like a good enough apology, right? If only he actually meant it though. Because fast forward to a couple months after that, and deja vu strikes again. Morant found himself in the same situation, receiving yet another suspension without pay. This time it was another Instagram live video, but in a car with his buddies. And guess what? Yep, he's holding a gun again. Talk about self-sabotage. But if you thought that controversy was bad, Lou Williams' scandalous COVID-19 quarantine party will leave you shocked. This incident had it all. A quarantine breach, a strip club, and a questionable food run. So I'd suggest strapping in, because this gets very wild. It was the year 2020, and the NBA had established a strict health and safety bubble in Orlando as they tried to protect players and staff from the COVID-19 pandemic. But amidst this highly controlled environment, the LA Clippers star player Lou Williams found himself at the center of a storm. Because when news broke that he left the bubble, social media had a field day. And while it was first said that he'd actually attended a funeral, photos started coming out showing him in a strip club in Atlanta. Classy, right? Williams tried to defend his actions, saying he'd only stopped by to get food. Now, that's quite the culinary adventure. But at the end of the day, his decision to leave the bubble without proper authorization was a clear breach of the rules. The league had implemented strict guidelines to minimize the risk of COVID-19 transmission, so Lou was in big trouble, and the star ended up losing $150,000 while missing 2 games to quarantine, giving his opponents the perfect opportunity to score points. It was straight-up chaos, as fans took to Twitter to express their disappointment with the player, calling out his lack of judgment. But to be fair, NBA players aren't exactly the sharpest tools in the shed. I mean, just look at the insane clash between DeMarcus Cousins and Sean Elliott. It was a classic story of a player getting carried away during a game. Back in 2012, the Sacramento Kings were facing off against the San Antonio Spurs. And Sean Elliott, who is a former NBA player turned commentator, entered the arena after making crazy comments about DeMarcus Cousins during the broadcast. Elliott had praised Tim Duncan for his dominant performance, while criticizing Cousins for his trash talking towards Duncan on the court. And Cousins has never been one to shy away from confrontation. He decided that he had a bone to pick with the reporter, so he waited near the Spurs locker room, and when Elliott was close enough, Cousins unleashed rant as he swore at him. Now, if you don't already know, the NBA has strict rules that prohibit players from confronting members of the media. And Cousins' decision to confront Elliott crossed the line, sending shockwaves through the basketball community. The NBA swiftly suspended Cousins for 2 games as they made an example out of him. Besides, while he had supporters that called out their decisions, everyone knows you don't mess with the media. Eventually, DeMarcus came out with a public apology admitting his mistake. But let's be real, if he got the opportunity, he'd bash Sean Elliott all over again. So there you have it, from the insane clash between DeMarcus Cousins and Sean Elliott to Draymond Green's dirty groin attack in NBA Finals, those were the times when NBA players broke the rules.